Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And guess what? We've got the best day one Bullseye list for you, but we've also got two great lists for those of you who didn't get the card. A quick review of my first impressions of the card after I just streamed it for like 5 straight hours, something silly like that. So let's get started, however, by talking about Ika Control. Our friend Ika has been killing it this season with this control list. It has been extremely strong and extremely consistent. I think that it is absolutely worth playing if you have the card Wiccan. It is the only really required card for this list, but if you have it, this list absolutely sings. Before we get to talking about that list, though, I'd like to tell you about the Snap Judgments League. It is a tournament where you play one game a week at a schedule that you set with your opponent for up to $400 in prizes. Please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/snapjudgments, or the Discord linked in the description to this video. If you're interested in joining, please, we have a video that will show you exactly what to do in order to make sure that you're able to join up without any trouble. All right, so that list. You can find Ika streaming at twitch.tv/IkaMTS. He is the chef of chefs in Marvel Snap. He makes a million decks, tests them all on stream. We get the best ones here on these videos. This deck needs Wiccan and Fenris. I think you might be able to do without Fenris. Like if you wanted to run, I don't know, a Cable there, a Mirage there, maybe you could. Fenris is really good right now. There's just enough Hela. There's just enough discard with all the Bullseye out that it's still really worth it. Kate Bishop's replacement is unfortunately a high series card. It's Penny Parker. You really do want that extra consistency in making sure that you're able to hit your Wiccan. And Kate gives you that, as does Penny. Those are the two cards in Marvel Snap that say if you see them after you play Quicksilver, you can almost always get straight to that next card. Turn Red Guardian can be Rocket and Groot or Rogue. Those are the general replacements. Red Guardian was a replacement for Rocket and Groot in the list, as a matter of fact. He could change it to Red Guardian because Bullseye came out, and being able to turn off Dracula's and Morbius's and so on is extremely strong. Rogue does at least some of that for you. Gladiator can be Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Negasonic is great with Fenris Wolf. Gladiator is great with Fenris Wolf. That's the entire logic here. Gladiator also has the power in this current meta of discarding things that they're not ready to discard in very cool ways. Iron Patriot can be Valentina, Cable, or Mirage, and they are good in that order, at least in my opinion. Iron Patriot is one of the strongest cards in Marvel Snap right now. Valentina is still pretty damn good, though, and you'll be okay running that. This has been Ika's best deck this season, the most successful list that he's run, and I think thus it is worth playing. Ika is generally a top 100 player and a brilliant Marvel Snap player. Turn 1, you want Quicksilver. Turn 2 is Kate if you don't have a 3. If not, Iron Patriot is generally speaking better than Fenris. Turn 2, you want Gladiator, almost always if possible. If not, you'll play a 2+1. You'll drop another 3 as needed if you have Wiccan Curve. Turn 4, Wiccan is better than a 2+2, and generally speaking, that's Invisible Woman in one lane, Iron Patriot in another. That's a good place to drop Fenris with Iron Patriot, etc., etc. Turn 5, you want Invisible Fenris, or if you can play Magneto, it's really good here. This is your turn to make sure you get out Fenris and play another card. Fenris and Gladiator makes sense, Fenris and Red Guardian, so on and so forth. Turn 6, you want Magneto. If you just drop a Magneto, you'll be fine. Sometimes Magneto wins games. If not, you want Shang or Enchantress with whatever you can, and then triggering Fenris. If you can Shang something and then get it back with Fenris, you usually win the game. If you can Enchantress off their big lane that has all of the Moonstone cards in it, usually win the game. Cool. We're going to look at a 90% Bullseye deck momentarily, but once more, this is one of the best decks in Marvel Snap. It has very few bad matchups. If you are able to control priority and control how you play, you will have great success. Also, quick note, one of the more powerful things you can do when you do lose prio on the last turn of the game is you can play Invisible Woman and Shang or Invisible Woman and Enchantress, and then still get the benefit that you wanted from these cards. Before we go forward, please hit that sub button. The bottom right, see that little YouTube button on the bottom right of your screen? If you press that, you are subscribed. We will give you in return 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. This week we'll have 9 videos. There's a second video coming out later today, so please make sure you hit that sub, like, and comment. if you're interested in the most thorough and consistent Marvel Snap content, there's a stream almost every day. There's a video every day. You cannot get more thorough content anywhere. We even cover bundles and everything else. Please hit that sub button if you're willing. Your like and comment also enter you to win Iron Patriot. We give away one a week. We're giving away one this week and one next week. All you have to do is sub, like, and then later this video, I'm going to tell you to leave a comment. You leave that comment, you can get Iron Patriot. All right, next up we have Bullseye. Bullseye is the card that came out yesterday. He is a 3/3 activate. Discard all cards that cost one or less from your hand. Afflict that many different enemy cards with -2 power. So his -2 power is good. It's occasionally powerful. That's not really his use, at least in my experience. His use is giving you big other cards, getting rid of a bunch of swarms that you can then do things with, getting rid of the scorns and helping to make your collector big, helping to make your Morbius big. That's his real use, especially because he's activate, so you can play MODOK and then trigger him, getting a second set of discards, which is going to like let your lane skyrocket out of nowhere, which is this ridiculously huge lane stealer. It is very strong in that one particular way. Almost every other way, this is a mid card. The list we're going to look at, I think, is very good. I don't think it's the best list in the game, despite its 90% win rate in 20 games. I think that both Toxic Soul King and myself had really hot runs with it. I think it is, however, a very good list, and that means that Bullseye has and is a requirement in a very good list. Almost everything else I played with him felt like hope. It didn't feel good. Now, I have two more lists for you tomorrow that I think are really good, and I have two lists in this video that I think are really good. I still probably don't think you should get the card, but it's very early yet, and I reserve the right, obviously, to change my mind. The list that, if you got him, you should play is this from our friend Toxic Soul King. Toxic Soul King made this list. He actually had Silver Samurai in the list instead of Moon Knight. Moon Knight's not very good. So he sends me this list. He goes, I'm undefeated in Silver Conquest. I went 9-0 with this list. You should try it. So I did, right? Basically, what I do on the Tuesday, the day of the new card release, is I get on stream on YouTube and Twitch at about 6:30 p.m. Eastern. My son goes to piano, and I stream basically all night as I test basically every deck I can for the new card to get a good feel for it. So that's what we did. I played 10 games with a bunch of different decks. This was by far my most successful list. I played 11 games with this by accident, and Toxic played 9. So this list absolutely crushed. It felt like it had a million different plays and a million different ways to win, and the opponent couldn't necessarily stop it. Now, you can find Toxic Soul King streaming all the damn time. The man does not sleep at twitch.tv/Toxic Soul King TTV. He's one of my favorite Marvel Snap streamers, and you should absolutely check him out. This deck needs Bullseye, Scorn, Victoria Hand, and Moonstone, and MODOK. I'm really sorry. That is every high series card. But I mean, it's also 3 cards this month, so it's nice to see that they synergize these. But Scorn will be in a bundle relatively soon. You will be able to get Scorn and Corvus Glaive for $100. I don't especially suggest you buy that, especially since Scorn is coming in Spotlights next month. But if you are opening for Spotlights Scorn at that point, and you have these other cards, then it is worth saving this list. Moon Knight is almost certainly wrong here. I want to test cards there. The best idea I heard from Vane was Grandmaster. Frigga seems like she's worth a look too, because Victoria Hand is absolutely excellent in this list when she's very good. When she works, she's excellent. And I, again, am sorry that the best list I tried was one that has so many high series cards. It just was. Just so you know, the other really good lists I saw, we're going to talk about a Butt list in a couple of minutes. Butt is ranked number 5. He was ranked number 2 earlier today on the Infinite Leaderboard. Alex Kochia's list, he has a video up with it already, is absolutely stellar. We're going to cover it. It's Alex Kochia. He's got like 100,000 followers. I figure if you wanted to find an Alex Kochia list, you probably found it by now. And then we've got one from our friend Buddy that I think is really cool and different that I want to give a longer look to. I'm going to play that on stream tomorrow. I just didn't have a chance to play it. But those are the lists I felt really successful with along with this one. I want to take a moment to go card by card here and sort of explain how this works. So, Moonstone plus Morbius or Moonstone plus Victoria Hand are both absolutely game winning. So if you can go Moonstone plus Victoria Hand and you get a bunch of swarms, you now have 0/7s all over the board. If you can play 4 or 5 0/7s, you've won the game, right? Like at that point, you're just so far ahead. The other thing you can really do is you can drop it on top of Morbius, and your Morbius is often like 12 power, which means you're adding 12 power to that Moonstone, which is like a 28-30 power lane. That's crazy strong. The real trick to getting a big Morbius is to go MODOK and then Modoc and then trigger that Bullseye, and you'll just basically have a handful of swarms. It's super, super strong. And you don't need to hit that exact combo because you also obviously have the collector, which gets reasonably big. You're sitting at an 8-10 power collector. You have Colleen and Blade as extra. I sort of think of them as hand manipulators more than discarders. Their job is to get me to that Bullseye Modoc with the right discards in hand. I really want to try and discard Swarm, so on and so forth, in order to make it happen. Scorn is excellent. It's just a ton of extra power. It's often sitting at like 8-10 power at the end of the game. Feel free to just drop it at that point. Um, and Helicarrier's sort of mid unless you discard it super early. If you can discard it early and you end up with Victoria Hand, just giving +2 to this entirely unpredictable thing, it feels all of a sudden like you're playing Arishem. It is incredibly strong in that context. Again, the only card that I don't really like here is Moon Knight. Moon Knight does not fit. You're just running too many 2-drops. I'm looking at trying Grandmaster for the Colleen Wing Blade plays. Considering, honestly, you know what might be decent here? I think Cosmo might be good. Um, Grandmaster, you can try Gambit. I don't especially want Gambit here. And I'm going to probably end up trying Frigga because Frigging Collector in the Alex Kochia deck felt really good. And we know that Frigging Morbius or Victoria Hand are both extraordinarily strong plays. So there's a ton of absolutely crazy great plays with this. You should really, really play it. Everything in this list sings together. All right, so 90% win rate. I went 11-2, and Nika went 9-0. In Silver Conquest, I played on ladder. I climbed from rank 200 to about rank 150 with this list. I went from about rank 250 to about rank 150 in the day of yesterday. So I 20-2, that's 90%. Again, that is a hot run. I don't think this list is all of a sudden the best in Marvel Snap. It is beatable, but it steals wins. My cube rate with this list, I think I had well over 20 cubes in my 11 games or whatever it was. So this is a stellar list. So yeah, okay. So turn one, you want Blade. If Swarm, Scorn, or Helicarrier, be a little careful with that Helicarrier. You want to make sure you have another discard for next turn because you don't want to hand screw yourself for 2 turns in a row. You will for one. Getting rid of that Swarm early is heaven. That is like your ideal. And Scorn is fine. Just you start with a 1/5. You basically start with an old Hydra Bob. Not bad. Turn two, you want Collector over Hand, which is more or less equal to Morbius. Um, you want to get Collector out reasonably early because he's the only card that you have to have out early. The other two are ongoings. It doesn't matter when you play them. Also, if your opponent is impetuous and randomly is going to Red Guardian something, you'd like that to be Collector, not Victoria Hand or Morbius. Colleen or Scorn. If you don't have any of your twos, you have Colleen and Scorn or Swarm. Feel free to use that Colleen to get that Swarm or Scorn going. Turn 3, you would generally like to play Bullseye. If not, you're perfectly fine playing one of your 2-drops. You can also wait till 5 to play Bullseye just fine. Turn 4, you want Moonstone on either a Victoria Hand or Morbius or on a fairly empty lane, so you can play those cards later. Turn 5 is usually 2s or Bullseye. You can play Modoc if you have a big Victoria Hand combo, i.e. you have a lot of Swarms or you have discarded that Helicarrier. Or you can drop Morbius on that same spot with that with that Moonstone. So yeah, lots of options here. Cool. So 2 and Bullseye on 5 is basically the goal, right? If you didn't play that Hand or Morbius, this is where you get it out with your Bullseye. And you can always Modoc if you have Victoria Hand stuff out and you want to get out Helicarrier. Getting out like 2 or 3 zero swarms after you discarded Helicarrier with a big card that you generate that they can't prepare for is a cube stealer. Turn 6, your ideal play is Modoc and some of your swarms, not all. You want to keep 1 or 2 in hand for the Bullseye. So you want to play Modoc and a couple of swarms, and then you just sort of go for them. Your numbers skyrocket as your collector gets huge. Because like Modoc is going to make ideally about 4 more swarms, right? And then you're also discarding ideally also a Scorn, sometimes also a Blade. So you're discarding like 4 or 5 cards there. That's a 10 power Morbius. That's also like +4 power on Collector. You can double that, copying that with your Moonstone. And then if you played a few swarms, they're usually either 5 or 7 power for total free. And then you've given a bunch of your opponent's board -2 power. And you gave yourself an extra +2 from Scorn. The numbers just fly up. The opponent cannot be ready. You still queues. It's awesome. This list was a blast to play. It was genuinely the most fun I had. I was ready to go to bed. I was getting frustrated. I didn't really enjoy the card. Even lists that worked, I didn't think were doing what I wanted. And then I played this, and this list absolutely sang. Go give it a try. There will also be a written guide to this up on Marvel Snap Zone. If you're interested, please check that out at about 11 a.m. Eastern today. All right, The King Never Sleeps. This is the Gilgamesh bundle in the shop. We did a big bundle review of every bundle that has a Series 4 or 5 card this Saturday. That is data mined. This is exactly the bundle that was data mined. $50, you get Gilgamesh and mediocre value. If you need Gilgamesh, you should get this. I.e., if you got Kara and Marvel Boy and are looking for the last piece of that zoo deck, you should probably just buy Gilgamesh and call it a day and be totally done. If that's not the case, then this is a skip. This is reasonable value for a Series 5 card. It's actually great value for a Series 5 card. But if you're not getting the Series 5 card, I think that this is a relatively easy skip. Cool. Next up, we will be live today on Twitch at twitch.tv/pulseglazer and probably on YouTube. YouTube gets a little buggy sometimes, but probably also on YouTube at about what time is it? 3:30 p.m. Eastern. So at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern, maybe even a little earlier if I can get there, make sure that you are checking out our Twitch at twitch.tv/pulseglazer and right here on YouTube. Twitch drops seem to still be going. I thought they'd be done by now, but they sure seem to still be going. They're still showing progress on people's bars. All right, so our season pass question is, what is our impression of Bullseye before the pros tomorrow? Cool. I'm going to give you one pros impression momentarily. This is Butt's Dump. Once I realized that I could name the deck Butt Dump, it was great. I had success with this. It felt like the success was independent of Bullseye. Bullseye did not feel important, but hey, he's good here, right? Like, he's a second way to get rid of all your ones so that you can do your big endgame bullshit with Dracula. Is it as good as playing ones? No. Bullseye's turning all your ones into -2. You can see that there's a 3, a 3, a 4, a 7 here, and then the arrows or whatever the hell the arrows are. So you're losing that, right? When you bullseye them, you're losing 1, 1, 2, and 4 power. So that's worse. But Ebony Maw can get stuck in hand. Bullseye says, hey, don't worry about that at all. And like, it's a really solid backup Black Swan in this list fundamentally. But is again a top 5 player on the Infinite Leaderboard currently. He is ranked number 5. He was ranked number 2 earlier today. I have the list that he was ranked 2 with. That'll be in tomorrow's video, dear friends. This deck needs War Machine, Black Swan, and Kate Bishop. Hydra Bob can be Martyr. If there were ever a Martyr list, it's this. If you can't fill all the spots and you're worried about Martyr, Bullseye. And then Bullseye can be Bishop or Hitmonkey. That's what it usually was prior. I went 7-3 with this, and Butt says, this is shockingly better than I expected. Turn 1, Bob is the only one you'll really play. Unless you want to play, you already know you're going to play War Machine and you have Ebony Maw, you could do that. Turn 2, Swan is better than Zero and Maw. Just silence the Maw is better than Kate. Turn 3, you want Bullseye over Strong Guy. Unless you already have Swan, in which case Bullseye is significantly less good. Strong Guy would be better then. Turn 4, Dracula War Machine. This is your last chance for Swan, and you really do need Swan or Bullseye. Without Swan or Bullseye, this deck sort of falls apart a little bit, so make sure you get one of the two out. If you have Swan on turn 4 and you don't have Bullseye, make sure you play Swan on turn 4. Turn 5, Drac, War Machine, or Bullseye. War Machine is only really important if you didn't play your earlier your earlier Ebony Maw, or you did play it and need to be able to play in that lane, or you need to hardcast Infinite. Turn 6, your goal is to play all the free ones or chuck them all with Bullseye, and then you want to play either Red Hulk or Infinite with Dracula to discard the other of the two. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. Really straightforward. Tons of power, very straightforward. After this, Zombie Hela? No, zombies go nom nom Hela. Cool. But first, the stream team. If you'd like to check out gameplay from these decks, you can check my stream yesterday for the Bullseye list. But if you want to see all of them, please check out the stream team. Today is Wednesday, so Game of Flash X will be on tonight streaming these very decks. Zombies, Hela-Hawk. Zombies created this Darkhawk Ella list. It's not great. I'm not going to say it's great, but I had a really good time with it. I thought it was very fun, very powerful. If not the most consistent thing in the world. But when it works, oh boy, does it sing. I thought this was quite good. You can find Zombies at twitch.tv/zombiesgonondom, and happy streamiversary. I believe it was Zombies affiliate anniversary today, or yesterday technically. So today as of recording, yesterday as of whatever. But happy affiliate anniversary, zombies. Go check them out and say congrats. This deck needs Fenris, Darkhawk, and Gore. Those are the 3 cards you need. Hydra Bob can be Hellcow or a control card, and I strongly considered adding like an extra um, discard card. I wanted one more discard outlet on this pretty bad. Swordmaster felt okay. It was only really, really good for Darkhawk, right? Like you would also be fine if you hit a Gambit, but it was only really good for Darkhawk, and you really didn't want to hit the ones. But 7 power is a lot. So again, my son was homesick today, so I laid around with my son while he was homesick, and I played some Snap on the couch while we watched, a bunch of things. We watched All Star Superman and yada yada yada. So we watched a bunch of stuff, and I won a bunch with this. So this is one of the lists I used to climb from 250 to 200, which is where I lived on stream until I played that other list to about 150. So turn 1, you want Korg over Bob. Turn 2, you want Fenris over 1. Turn 3, you want Black Widow over Swordmaster, although you will play... the reason you want Black Widow over Swordmaster is not that Widow's necessarily better. It's that you don't really want a Swordmaster away Widow. Swordmaster's goal targets are Darkhawk or Gambit. Turn 4, Rockslide is more or less equal to Samurai with Gore. If you know that you've already discarded Darkhawk, or you don't have Darkhawk, you can go Rockslide first, then Samurai, because you want to give them more of a chance to draw the rocks. That's part of the power of the Darkhawk list. Then turn 5 is Darkhawk or a 4, and then turn 6 is Hela or Gore. Then you probably win. Very cool list. Props to Zombies for coming up with this really, really cool idea. I like this list a lot, and I think it's definitely one worth playing. Questions of the day. Our first question from Dirty Casual asks how to use Titania. So I'm assuming you mean in a clog list, not a Dracula dump list. In a dump list, what you want to do with Titania is play her at the end of the game as the last card in a spot when you don't have priority. In a clog list, the easiest way to play her, and as you learn to play her, what I would do is I would play her without priority on turn about 4, right? On turn about 4, sometimes 5, but usually 4. You play her with Green Goblin or Acid Arrow. You play her first, and then you play Acid Arrow. If they have 2 spots in that location, or Green Goblin, whatever, if they have 2 spots in that location, the Goblin is going to go, and then because she's not a triggered ability, right? The Green Goblin is a triggered ability. Is an unreveal. Unreveals like interrupt and happen immediately, like the Acid Arrow. They're gonna go over first, and then after they go over, because you played a card on your side, that's going to trigger Titania to go back to the opponent's side. You then have clogged that lane, so you leave that lane alone. You don't play anything else in that lane until the last turn of the game. That's why Demon isn't, or part of why Demon is in so many of these lists, because what you do is you play Demon in that spot on the last turn of the game. Usually with Cannonball, you Cannonball first, right? Cannonball destroys the most powerful card in whatever other location because that other lane is full, and then you've won that Cannonball lane, and then your second play is Demon in the Titania lane, and that's an 11-point swing. That lane is now unclogged, but they were unable to play a card there because they had no space unless they had like a move card or a Kitty Pryde or something, right? They had no space there, so you then play your Demon, and now you have an 11-point swing in that lane, which is almost always enough to win it. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know, Dirty Casual. Hop on a stream and I will play it a little bit to show you. Drive Start asks what my metric is for swimming in resources in Marvel Snap, and I think around 12 keys and around 20,000 tokens is swimming in resources. That's I have a ton of stuff. Do I think it's best to spend Spotlight keys when you have more than 4 of them? Depends where your collection level is. If you are getting multiple cards, obviously you should spend some Spotlight keys, right? If you are relatively early and you have most of the cards and you have the tokens or the keys, I would generally say get the tokens first because you never know when you're going to want to double key something or it's going to take 4. I tend to try and spend tokens a little bit before I'd use keys as a general rule, unless there's something specific extra I want from the keys. Drive Start asks, although again, if you're early on, you use keys because your duplicate spot is less likely, extra spot is less likely to be a duplicate. You're more likely to get more than one card because you're going to need more than one card in the cache, and you can save tokens at that point for things that aren't going to be in caches. If you're swimming in resources, though, generally spend your tokens. How do you level up cards for variants that you don't like and won't use? I don't. So the smart thing to do is to take all your gray borders and upgrade them once, and then pick one variant per card, and then just keep upgrading that, and then keep all your other stuff as best you can at infinite border. So you just keep getting that one variant over and over again, because you want to do the first upgrade as many times as you can, because that's only 25, which is a better deal than everything else. So I don't do that because I don't care anymore. I am looking for gold on things, and I have no boosters on basically anything I want to upgrade except I guess US agent. I think I'd like a gold US agent. Um, so I tend to just use the upgrade shop as much as possible. That's how I upgrade things. I don't always hit what I want. Like I've got Beta Ray Bill showing up all the time, and I'm not upgrading Beta Ray Bill. I've got Spider Woman showing up, and I don't want Spider Woman. But I've been trying to get a gold Mockingbird, a gold Kate Bishop, and a gold Anti Venom, and it's taking fucking forever, freaking forever, taking effing forever. Cool. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with honor. Thanks, and it has now gotten crazy late. So, dear friends, we're gonna go quickly. Abigail Gleason, what's up, friend? Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, David Wingfield, Dirty Casual, Downtown, LAB, Falthor Newman, Good Dog, Gamer is not here anymore. Ink, I am Frostman, Jane, Hote Navarrete, Yellow Potato, Thinking Booker, Primed Ryan, who, thank you for sponsoring Step Judgments League, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Caretix League, Quarry, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Parafos, The Goat Seeker, Hollow Synth, thanks for hanging out, Synth, Quid Pro Joe, Goat Seeker hung out all night too, thanks Goat Seeker, Pyro hung out for a bit, we had a ton of people hang out, Quarry hung out, Quid Pro Joe, what's up, Joe? Snap Decisions Joe, hope you're doing well. Fat Nick, Mr. Kerfuffle hung out yesterday, not today. Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rackwich, Hey Racco, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, Rob Zubman, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra C, and Skippy G. Rhyming friend Skippy showed up, even though he's really busy. Thank you, Skippy. Hey Jess, Jessica Gamble is the greatest. Slush Death, what's going on, my friend? You haven't watched a stream in forever. Slush Death, King of Bros, the Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kev, Zuhoda, Lunar Crest, Corwin, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh, Cube Down, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Yes Stout, Forbin hung out too. Yistout, 8th, Sage, Models, Mod Supreme, Green Goblin, Unibot hung. Flan 56, Brian Goffman, Steven, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B, Only Fox, who definitely hung. Thank you, Only Fox. The Fuzznut, Spectrum X, Hood, Matt H, DJ, Mikey, Hijinks. Matt H, I'm so sorry. You messaged me as soon as stream started. We'll catch up soon. No freaking flex. DJ Mikey Hijinks, I said, I think, right? Ocularis, what's up, Acu? Mr. Craig Sterry, BG, Zodrex, who hung out as well, the King Kata, Denman Falcon, Jonesy, the Great Two Ties, our friend Lauren Woodevs with the Snap on this pod, the Pirate King Tucker, and of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for I'm going to sleep, friends. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow for more Snap Take. Peace.